Hello and welcome to Country with Celine. Today we have some girl power on the show, country singer Angela Marie.
Your home, breaking heart, breaking line to time.
Angela, how are you today?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Angela, okay, let's get right to it. What fueled your passion for country music?
It's funny. I never really wanted to be a country singer when I first started. It was not, I wanted to be like Christina Aguilera or Alicia Keys, like nowhere near country. And I started taking singing lessons and somehow developed, I started listening to it because my cousin went through a country phase and I wanted to be just like Sarah. So of course I listened to country music. And then I jumped into singing lessons and I all of a sudden like developed this twang and I just kind of went with it and I started listening to more country and yeah, so that's how I went into country music. And then of course I fell in love with it and now that's just what I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
not fall in love with it. Especially when you listen to a lot of country, you just develop that twang. Like it just comes so naturally after. And you got it, girl. You got that twang.
I know, it's so weird. Well, I would be singing like Celine Dion, and then my vocal coach would be like, well, no, that needs to go away.
I'm more like Carrie Underwood over here.
Right?
Now, you were originally born in Ottawa. So how was that transition from Ottawa to Nashville? Because now you've been living in Nashville for quite a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's been about, I think it'll be it's been about 5.5 years-ish, I think, somewhere around there. It actually wasn't that difficult because I find, at least with Ottawa, it's a big city, but it's not like a Toronto or a Vancouver. So it's kind of got a smaller city, smaller town vibe to it. And Nashville is a similar experience. Like it's a really big city. I mean, it's growing at a ridiculous speed, but it still has that small town feel. And like there's always new people coming to town. So it was kind of an easy transition. The whole not knowing anybody was a thing when I first came. That was a scary experience. But I mean, there's so many people here who moved to town not knowing a soul. So I think everybody's kind of just looking out for each other, and it's easy to make friends, and everyone's here loving music. So it wasn't as bad as people think that it could be.
So when you moved to Nashville, did you have like everything kind of set up as to like what you were gonna do, a play? Nothing? So explain to me, how did that all plan out for you then?
So the first time I came, I'd been down here when I was about 18 to record an EP, my first EP. And then I came down for some radio stuff with some friends. So I had decided my next trip, I was going to come to Nashville by myself and see if I still liked it without going to Broadway and drinking with my friends and having all that, like a safety net kind of thing of like, just me, how do I like this city? So what I did was book myself my first tour in the US. So I say tour, it was bars. But I lived in my car for about 3 months and I packed all my stuff up. Because nobody would really pay attention to me in the States. So I made up a booking agency and a manager, and I just made up fake names and reached out to these places. And I was like, I represent Angela Marie. And then boom, I was getting people. I hope these places aren't going to be hearing this. And then she lied.
That's so smart. I've never heard anyone say that. That's genius.
Yeah. So I packed up my stuff and I lived in my Chevy Cruze, and I went from Ottawa all the way down to Miami. And then on my way back, I stopped in Nashville, and I spent like a week or two in Nashville just by myself, seeing how it was. And I loved it, of course. So then I went back home and I was like, I'm going to move there. So I got myself a visa. And while I was down here, I kind of did like, I would jump up on stages and get a feel for it. But then I came down working with a publishing company. So I did a lot of writing with them. So they kind of took me under their wing to let me get a visa so that I could come to town and really like root down and figure out where I would work the next year and what. So I was very lucky to have some people who supported me like right from the get-go. So that was good.
Just out of curiosity, you just mentioned a visa. I want to ask you, how was the process to get a work visa there? Like, is it hard?
It's much easier than you think if you're a performer. If you want to just move down, and work at, I don't know, a Burger King, then like it's difficult. It's very hard. But for musicians, there are the Canadian Musician Federation, or Federation of Musicians, and the AFM is the American affiliate, and they work very close together to help musicians go back and forth and perform on each side of the border. So I have my representatives that I have to line up gigs and show I'm going to be working in music, and you prove that, but it's much easier than you think. A lot of people will stop their dream of going either direction because they think it's very difficult, but there's a lot of people set up to help musicians on both sides. So my visa renews every year. Well, I have to apply for it every year. And I have a steady job. I work in the Tootsie's organization down here on Lower Broadway. I don't know if you've been to Nashville.
I have, girl.
Mainly at Tootsie's, Honky Tonk Central, Rippies, and Kid Rock's new place. But I've been venturing out into like Tin Roof and Winners and Losers. So I've got a bunch of different places that I play now, which is really nice.
Broadway is the street to be. When I was down there, just walking along the sidewalk, every single bar you had a band, and it was so nice. And there's so many country singers that own places down on Broadway, like Luke Ryan, Jason Aldean, Kid Rock. Have you met like anyone when you performed at like Kid Rock's place? Maybe met?
Kid Rock comes a lot to the bar. I normally play like a 2 to 6 kind of. So music starts at like 9 or 10 a.m. and goes pre-COVID days till 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's a long time, and there's music nonstop at every single bar, on every single floor. There are bands playing, and Kid Rock is actually really cool. Like he'll come, jump on stage, but he usually comes for the later shifts. So I never get to sing with him, but he's usually there, and he treats the band really, really well who's playing. So it's really cool to see that, because you never know if people are just going to open up a bar and never actually show up. But I know Blake Shelton shows up at his. I'm pretty sure Jason Aldean has been at his too. So it's really cool. I've personally never seen them at the bars though.
Well, you will soon. I guarantee you. Maybe you'll open up for them one day, or they'll be opening up for you too. That's the goal here.
I'm them at the bar, and I'll just open them. Open for them.
But how is it now with COVID? Like with the bars, is people still performing, or people not?
We shut down for a while, but it opened up just with very strict rules. So initially, back in June or July, we opened for the first time. And it was pretty much straight acoustic only. So you weren't allowed to have a full band on stage. It was just 2 people. Of course, you had to wear your mask if you weren't on stage. Everyone in the crowd, this is the biggest thing, is there's no dancing allowed. So it's very, very, imagine Broadway and all that craziness, and you have to stay seated at all points. You can't even like stand up on your chair to dance. Like you're down. So it's really weird. Yeah, now we have full band. So like we had a second shutdown, but we opened back up. So you're allowed to play with a full band, but there's just a lot of rules you have to follow. And I mean, I get it. Everyone has to stay safe. It's just not probably what you remember. It's not the same. Right?
Not what I remember.
No.
But you went down there to pursue a career in music. So would you say that it's easier to be in Music City pursuing this career in country music, or would you say it's kind of like similar just to being in Toronto?
I've never lived in Toronto, so I don't know what it's like there. I think it's just totally different. It's a completely different world down here. Everyone is here to chase the similar. So I got asked a lot of the time, why would you go where there's so many people who do what you do? And that's true. I guarantee you when I walk down the street, there are most people who are probably more talented than I am. They're just this incredible talent down here. But when you're down here, there's a lot of collaboration. So it's a lot of meeting new people to write with. It's a lot of jamming on stage, listening to original music. And there's not too much of that, at least in Ottawa, that I experienced. So it's just 2 different worlds. I wouldn't say it's easier or harder. It's just depends on what you want to chase, I think.
Well, it's really interesting hearing your insight on that because I've never spoken to anyone who's actually living down in Nashville trying to pursue this career.
Yeah.
So out of a scale of 1 to 10, you would say that you love living in Nashville now and you would never come back to Ottawa?
It's home. My boyfriend and I bought a house here, and we've got a dog. Like we are settled here in Nashville, and it's such a great city, and it's a great place. Everyone wants to come visit normally when they're allowed to come visit. So yeah, this is our home, and I'll always go back to Ottawa to visit. But
your family's all there, right?
Look, my dog's coming in to say hi.
It's okay. Let the dog in. What kind of dog do you have?
A husky. Not good for the South.
Oh my God, yeah, huskies, I think north.
He loves being down here though. He likes to sunbathe, which is ridiculous. But
That's adorable. Isn't it hot though?
it gets really hot. But I don't know, he does his thing.
And you met your boyfriend down in Nashville too?
No, we met back in Ottawa actually.
Oh, so okay. So how did that go? You wanted to pursue your career down in Nashville and he like stayed in Ottawa, or did he move down with you?
No, so he is actually, we have a very interesting story, I guess. He is from Colorado and played professional baseball. So he was drafted by the Rays and went through all the minor league stuff, ended up Ottawa. In that time that I had moved back after living in my car, Ottawa started a baseball team, and it was like a AA, AAA league, played in New York and Quebec and all that stuff. But he moved to Ottawa that summer, and then we met on Tinder.
That's always the place.
Right, we met on Tinder and ended up obviously really hitting it off, and we did long distance for about 1.5 years, and then he moved after he retired after that season of baseball, went back to Colorado. So then we had Colorado and Nashville, and then he made the move to Nashville. So now Nashville is his home as well.
How long have you guys been together for now? A couple years?
Yeah, it was 5 years last May.
Yeah, wow. Oh, that's nice.
It works. I mean, we should be like the spokespeople for Tinder, I think.
I know, because Tinder doesn't really get that many good of a reputation.
I know.
Right? So let's just go back a bit here. I was reading up on your website, and you finished first in the 2007 Ottawa Idol competition and a golden ticket in the 2009 Idol season. How was that experience like? Because recently, Kelly Clarkson just came out and was explaining her experience on American Idol, and it's been like maybe 10 or 15 years since she's been on it, and she was finally coming out and saying that she thought everyone was rude to her, like no one was nice. So I'm just out of curiosity, how was that experience like for you?
I didn't get in Canadian Idol, I didn't get far enough to really experience.
Know anyone? Yeah.
Like I made the top 100 or whatever, but it's, you have to go into those television shows and contests. Well, the ones that are on TV, you have to know that it's a television show. They have to keep ratings high. They have to they're going to have their certain people that they want. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see on TV. So my experience, and also just Canadian Idol is extremely different than American Idol. Yeah, right? Like the Canadian American Idol, but we don't know the Canadian. It is sad, like, because there's
yeah, no, you got that right. It is sad, but that's how most of the American and Canadian shows go, right?
Exactly. So it was, I loved the experience. It was really cool to see. I met some really cool people, and I really enjoyed being a part of it. Ottawa Idol is a much smaller scale, but it opened so many doors for me. I got to do like senators' anthems, and I was just playing all around town, a bunch of fairs and festivals and doing the whole thing. So it opened a lot of performance opportunities for me, which was really good. So I'm grateful for both of it. It's all you have to, it's experiences. I also lost at Ottawa Idol, I think twice before I actually won. So you go in just,
keep going. You just keep chugging along, right?
Exactly.
It will happen when it happens, and you take every opportunity that you can get. That's for sure.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people just, you have to remember too, when you do these contests, that it's based on people's opinions. So just because you lost doesn't mean that you are not talented. It means you weren't what they were looking for that specific moment. And just being down here too, honestly, the majority of my friends have been on The Voice. Like, I think I'm the only one who hasn't been on The Voice. So they all have I hear a lot of stuff that goes on from like the US shows too. And it's the same thing. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that you just don't see on TV. So you have to kind of take that into account when you're watching and stuff. And when you're
It's a reality TV show, right? They want to make drama and everything like that too.
Exactly.
So. But speaking of the Senators games, you did the national anthem. How is that process like? Like, do you get seasons tickets to like go to the games afterwards? Like, how does that happen?
Well, so I started back when the Senators had a regular, Lyndon, you know, the guy who did this all the time, every time I don't know if you've seen the anthems on the game, but he did every single game, and they would fit us in when he was out, basically. And they treat us very, like, I have a lot of jerseys now. You get tickets to the game, not season tickets, but you get tickets to that game. They get you food and drinks, and I just love it. I've done it quite a few times now, and it is always so much fun. And just having like 20,000 people sing along with you is such a cool experience, and I'm very grateful that they keep having me back. So hopefully this season I can come back and sing.
Hopefully is right.
Cross.
I mean, like in Philadelphia, I think they were doing it. They were just performing on the platform on top of like all the players. So they have it like that, just no fans. Except in Florida, there was like 25% full of the stadium. So they're slowly coming back. But
slowly. I would love to be able to do when Ottawa is in town for a Senators Predators game. I would love, but they probably won't because I'm cheering for the Sens. So I'd show up in my Sens jersey. But it is something that I want to do. Every time I go to a game, the Predators games are incredible. They're so much fun.
Oh.
It's just a whole, if you ever come to town, you have to go to a game when it's after COVID. But they have bands and like shows on it is so much fun, and the crowd is so loud. It's awesome.
Oh, really, it's making me want to come back tonight.
After, when the world is open and great again, that's when you should come.
Yeah, and they throw catfish on the ice too.
That's
interesting.
I have no idea how they get that stuff in there, but hey.
That is the question that I think everyone has asked. How the hell does that happen?
No clue.
Okay, now just getting back on topic here. You're a songwriter, and you released one of your first singles, As Good As It Gets, and that was, I believe, back in 2011?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, quite a bit ago. And you kept pumping out songs like after that, but I would just love to know, Home Wreckin' Heartbreak, who was that about, or like what was your inspiration behind that song?
That was not my idea. So some songs, I know it's like a boring, like, but when you're doing co-writing stuff, a lot of people, like, on my phone, I'll have like title ideas and stuff like that. And I was working with an artist developer and a producer at the time, and it was actually one of their ideas. So Jason came in and was like, what do you think about this? So we just did some tweaking. He actually had most of the song, a good amount of the song like already done. So we just switched stuff up and wrote a little bit extra. So that one is not about anything specific. That is just a song.
I was waiting for some juicy gossip.
I know, but no. It was just a song and that's the fun thing about music too, is there's obviously those songs that are very personal, but there's a lot of songs that are just, you get to be kind of like an actor, and you go through, like Carrie Underwood wasn't going around smashing cars, but she gets to act that out, and that's fun.
That's very true. Well, you have quite a resume. I mean, like, you've opened up for country music artists, you performed on TV, radio shows, you won awards. So what's next in store for you? Are you working on any new singles?
Super excited. So I actually am in the process of launching a band. So I'm working with a developer and producer in town, and we've been working on it. Well, we were supposed to launch before COVID, but that kind of put a halt in it to everything. So we are officially going to be launching hopefully in the next month or two. So it's me and 3 guys. We're called The Curves. We have nothing on social media yet because we haven't officially done a big push. So that's some insider information. But I'm so excited to put out like new music, and it's very different than what I've been doing. But I think being in Nashville, I've kind of found my the way that I love to perform and the way that feels good and the music that I like. So I went through a phase of just kind of figuring it out. And this is really stuff that I'm really proud of. And I hope everybody likes it. So that should be launching soon.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone should definitely look out for The Curve.
The Curves. Ooh.
So what's something that you wish to accomplish within the next 5 years? Let's look ahead. What do you want to accomplish within that time?
So I would love a publishing deal, which is for songwriting. I would obviously love a record deal. I just want to be on the road making music, and that's how I get to live, and that's how I support myself, and that's like my job. Like that's really what I want to be doing, is just being able to live off of this and opening up for bigger and bigger acts and playing for more and more people. Sure, a Grammy would be nice. I mean, if you want to throw that in there. But that's really what I want. I want like hopefully with this band we get signed and can get things moving and rolling, and that's the ultimate goal right now.
That's the dream. That's what you want to do, right? And I pray that you accomplish that, girl. I can't wait to see you on the big stage.
Yes.
So much for joining me on Country with Celine, and I hope you have a rockin' day in Nashville today, honey.
You too.
My tongue for time, I wish I could quit this gibberish.